Alright, guys, as some of you may know, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've been searching all over Netflix to watch Dragon Ball episodes, but unfortunately, Netflix here just doesn't have them. But you know which version of Netflix does? Netflix Japan. Some of you might be wondering, how on earth am I accessing Netflix Japan, right? Well, that's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN is one of the top VPN services out there. It allows you to mask your location and browse securely, which is perfect for protecting your privacy. Plus, NordVPN can basically change your location to anywhere in the world with just a few clicks. So it's just as easy as that. That's how I'm able to access Netflix Japan and binge all of the Dragon Ball episodes that I can fathom. It's not just about watching international shows, however. NordVPN adds an extra layer of security basically as you're browsing, so your personal information stays safe and your online activity remains private. If you want to unlock more content and protect your privacy online, head over to nordvpn.com/Harariboy to get over 70% off a 2-year subscription plus 3 months free. And if you don't like it, you can cancel within 30 days and get a money back guarantee. It is worth the peace of mind and extra content you'll have access to. Thank you. Thank you. All right, for our next topic here, we have real estate. First, we're going to talk about realtors. So I got two things coming up for real estate. What's 2025 going to bring for real estate? Essentially, is it a good time to buy? Is it safe to buy? Stuff like that. We'll go ahead and take a look at all of this and more, and then pretty much react from there.
Realtor.com predicts low sales but rising prices for home buyers in 2025. Housing guy Mitch Risher.
Wow. So in the first 5 seconds there, he pretty much just told you home prices still rising, but let's see why that's not a good thing for real estate agents.
Oh, joins me now. Mitch, that doesn't sound good to me. How about you?
Well, it's bad for realtors because they're not going to sell a lot of homes. And it's potentially bad for buyers because prices are going to go up. Good for sellers, but I completely agree with their forecast for 2025. Unless we figure out some fiscal policy to create incentives for people to build more homes, we're not going to see more homes hitting the market in a meaningful way.
And you can't just snap your fingers and build more homes just like that, can you? I mean, it takes a long time to get those to the market.
Yeah, I mean, one of the companies we can create new homes, which we do them for rent in about a year. But the biggest challenge is all these local regulations, which just slow down the process. Just pulling a permit can take 6 months sometimes.
Let's talk about that real quick. New homes. So right out the gate, I would say probably if you're looking to buy in 2025, new home would be the way to go. Now, there are some risks with it, as with any other home, but I've started to see more with the newer homes now, where they're all cookie cutter, all look the same pretty much. These new sellers are very, like, home builders are very desperate to get rid of them. So I've seen situations where they'll do your mortgage buyback, where they'll buy down your interest rate, and essentially you'll have a lower interest rate for your loan. Some of them have very creative financing, where I've seen, like, different situations where even they don't even look at credit scores. So this kind of looks very similar to what was happening in '08, but now it's happening in the new construction area. But that being said, there's a lot of incentives. The risks are, because these houses are all similar and they're being rushed and pushed out, just like they're saying here, a lot of times you run into a lot of issues, plumbing leaks, different electrical issues, HVAC not working correctly, stuff like that. Just, these houses are pretty much put together pretty fast. And because of that, you stand to risk a lot of that. So my recommendation is definitely make the warranty your number one priority. Do a pre-home inspection. A lot of people are like, it's a brand new home. Why do I need to do a pre-purchase inspection? It's brand new. I don't have anything to worry about. And that's not always the case. So, I mean, contractors can still mess up. It's a lot easier for contractors in construction to mess up on a home than it is for a manufacturer to mess up on a car. So a car and home are two different things. Don't ever approach buying a home as if it was, a car, because it's just not the case. But as long as you get that warranty for however long it is, first 10 years of that home, first 5 years, whatever, I mean, that should have you covered. Make sure you inspect the house very well, everything like that, and see what you can negotiate. I mean, don't just worry about the rate, worry about the price of the home too. Like, see if you can bargain, haggle them down. I've seen reports to where, some of them are even giving away the home for, not at a loss, but just to recoup their funds. And a lot of times they're building these houses for almost 50-60% of what they're selling it for. So there you go. Negotiate. Look at new homes. I think that will be your best bet. Let's keep going here.
Time. So that is certainly one of the challenges.
And then we have billionaire Mark Cuban. He says home insurance in areas hit by repetitive disasters is going to be the #1 housing affordability issue in the next 4 years.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little in the next topic, but insurance and taxes is definitely huge. I mean, Florida has some of the highest insurance rates, and so does Texas. Georgia's starting to climb up there as well. And what people don't realize is that, a lot of times it's hard to get a loan nowadays that doesn't require an escrow account. So a lot of times you're going to be feeling that in your mortgage payment and, the whole shebang. So rather than investing $1,000 a month, you're just putting it into a depreciating account called an escrow account, just so that you can pay your taxes and insurance at the end of the year, and the mortgage company can pretty much, trust that you can do that. So you're kind of forced into it at the end of the day. So it's definitely something. It's not just a mortgage payment. You have to look for principal and interest and stuff like that. You're actually paying all these other costs as well. Let's keep watching.
He says Florida in particular will have, his words, huge problems. Is that exactly what you're seeing, Mitch?
Yeah, it's certainly an issue, but I think Mark Cuban's comments directed at Florida and potentially directed at Governor DeSantis are political in nature, because guess what? Texas has the exact same problems and he lives in Dallas. So yes, I think it's a national problem. We've talked about it in the past and we need to figure out a way to deal with it. We're seeing, Stuart, more and more people choosing to rent versus buy, just for the reason that you don't carry that burden of expensive homeowners insurance when you're a tenant and you shift it back to the landlord.
I believe I remember you said that your solution to that problem, or partial solution, is to raise your deductible. Is that it?
Yeah, that's my solution, but
yeah, just like he's going to say here, that's not for everybody. Be careful of that. If you live in Florida, I mean, you're very, very at risk if you do that. Just make sure you have a whole bunch of money saved up. If you live in someone like in one of the states in the mainlands, like Midwest, or not Midwest, but somewhere that doesn't have extreme weather, no tornadoes, stuff like that, maybe that's a viable option for you to look at. Things can still happen, but people raise their deductible. That saves them a lot of money on their insurance overall. But be very wary of that. That's not a one shoe fits all type of situation.
That's not certainly for everybody. That means you're willing to take up to $50,000 worth of risk if something happens to your house. For somebody that has a $400,000 house, they can't take that kind of risk. So I don't think it's a one size fits all solution. It's my personal solution. But I think what we're seeing is people are kind of voting with their feet and opting to rent versus buy, when high homeowners insurance is part of the calculus of whether or not they rent versus buy.
What a mess. We bring you on, you're a real estate expert, you know what you're talking about, and every week the news seems grim. It's just not an active market. Realtors are not having a good time at the moment, are they?
No, and the thing that really disturbs me the most about it, and I hate being the bearer of bad news, but speaking the truth is speaking the truth. We're talking at the end of the day, Stuart, about the American dream.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think the American dream is owning a home. And when it's bleak prospects of owning a home, I think that trickles down through a lot of the economy. So
Yeah, so moral of the story, 2025 is pretty much no different from 2024, 2023. The only difference is that, the housing prices are higher, right? And they're just going to keep climbing. Now, is that going to be forever? I'm not going to say that. We never know what's going to happen. But the only way I can foresee this type of housing market to crash is if the home builders keep building. Like if they don't stop building, if they don't say, okay, we're done building, let's just sell what we have and just cut our losses, or be out of it for a little bit. That's you're gonna need a surplus of homes for prices to come down. Right now, there's a surplus of buyers, not enough homes still. I know there's a lot of construction going on, but it's just not enough. So let's see if these home builders are bold enough to keep building and have massive supply. That could have a positive effect on the housing market overall. So stay tuned for that. And it just gets back to, be prepared to buy a house the right way, not the wrong way. Let's go to our next topic here, where Dave Ramsey is essentially talking to this caller here about hating their job. So yeah, kind of back to the career space real quick. Yeah, let's react to this caller and see what they hate about their job.
Brought to you by Why Refi. Refinance your defaulted private student loans today at whyrefi.com/Ramsey.
So I've been watching you for a long time, for years now, and I have just saved my $1,000.
Good.
And I am also drowning in student debt, credit card, and my car loan. I do have a job. I make about $50,000. My debt is a little bit more, around $65,000. I hate my job and I want to go to school, but I don't know if that's a good idea because of the amount of debt that I have. I'm trying to figure out what the best.
Yeah, so already I kind of see where this call is going to go. Essentially, a lot of times, and it's unfortunate, but it's just bad advice being passed down to generation. School is supposed to be a tool mechanism for you to get ahead and get the necessary skills that you need to get a job out there in the workforce. It's not somewhere where you want to run away to. It's not a runaway game. If you don't know what you're going to study, it's pretty much, I've seen a lot of cases where people just go back to school just for the sake of going back to school, 50s, 60s, 40s. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, why are you going back? Essentially, they say, "Oh, I want a better career. I want to do better," and stuff like that, which is okay, but a lot of times they're undecided, and I'm like, okay, you're undecided, and then they want to go there and get some generic degree, maybe psychology or something. Then they want to go for their master's, then they want to go for a PhD, only to find out that they're jobless at the end of it. So I definitely don't want that for you guys. Never ever use school as a runaway tool.
Way is to get out of this mess, basically.
What's your current job? What do you work in that you're not enjoying?
I work in property management. I'm an assistant property manager.
Okay. And is it the field that you're not enjoying, or is it the specific company, do you think? Because when you said you want to go back to school, I'm just curious what else is out there that you're thinking.
So I think it's just the field. This is actually a Christian-based company, which is super awesome. So I think it's just the field. I'm not happy here. It's just not fulfilling. I do love kids, so I've always wanted to pursue NICU nursing. But I would graduated in Hawaii, and the diploma I got from there is not recognized. So I would have to go back to school for a GED and then go to college. But with all the debt and the mess that I have, it's just kind of overwhelming, and I really don't know where to go.
Well, I think we're doing this a little bit backward. You want to run to something, not from something, as far as your career goes.
There you go.
And so what I would do if I were in your shoes is I would very clearly identify and spend some time and some soul searching, and we'll even give you some tools to help you with this, identifying exactly what you want to do with your life in this next chapter. Mm-hmm. Going back to school, in air quotes, is a really bad idea unless that particular degree is necessary to do the thing you want to do. Okay?
Right.
And sometimes when people are running from something, they, air quotes, go back to school as if that's going to solve anything. It's not going to solve anything. You need to actually be studying toward becoming the thing you want to be. Did you say you want to be a pediatric nurse?
A NICU nurse.
A NICU nurse.
Baby, so yeah.
Okay. And your high school diploma does not count?
Yeah, so I graduated from a competency adult community school, and apparently that is not recognized nationally, and I have to go back for a GED, which is crazy because I've been using that pretty much my whole life. So.
Okay, so right now you're a high school graduate that needs to pass a GED to prove it, right?
Basically.
And then you would have to go through all your undergrad and go through nursing school to be a nursing NICU. Okay. So what Ken Coleman would tell you to do, that is one of our Ramsey personalities, has written extensively on this idea, is he would tell you to go over there in your off hours and volunteer in the NICU to rock babies.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And talk to the nurses that are there and tell them it's going to take you 6 years to be one of them. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm a huge fan of nursing as a career field, but I like little babies is a long way from I want to go to school for 6 years
or
to
longer.
Be a NICU nurse. That's a different thing. It's a lot different. Okay, so because nursing at times is gross. Nursing at times is very stressful. Nursing at times will break your heart. Nursing at times will cause your back and your feet to hurt and ache. It's hard work. It's a great career field, but it's way different than I have a heart for children. You follow me?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is get your arms around what it is you want to do and exactly what the cost is. And then and I don't want you to spend 6 years and end up in a field that you hate accidentally. You wouldn't want to do that. So number one, we don't want to go back to school in air quotes as an escape mechanism. Number two, we want to, if we're going to go back to school, let's make sure that whatever we're studying gets us there. And then number three, what are some interim steps we can take to move in the direction of the field while you're talking about going to school there? So while you're working on your undergrad and passing your GED and getting your undergrad going at your local community college there in West Virginia, which you can do your first 2 years there just fine, you're probably keeping the job you've got. Or you're getting a better job making more money, but maybe not in your career field. Or if you can find something where they'll pay you $40,000 a year to be in and around the medical field and you can get a sniff of what it is you're signing up for, then I would go along with that.
Yeah, and I
mean, there you have it. I mean, essentially, I couldn't have said it better than myself. This kind of ties back into what I was saying earlier about the vocational school and having a job, a job that you can do while you're pursuing a higher degree later on, right? So essentially, she has a job currently, and Dave is telling her to stay. Or something important that he just said was sniff it out, right? Play around as a nurse, or not play around, but try to see if they'll take you on as an intern or whatever the case might be, or just some type of shadowing position so you can get a feel for what it is that you want to do. I can't stress how important internships have been for me throughout my career. When I was in school, essentially, I found out really quickly I didn't want to be a structural engineer, and essentially, I made the pivot to more of what I saw fit, construction management. So I love building, and that's what I've always loved. I don't like design and calculations. So the only way I was going to figure that out is if I actually got out there in the field and saw exactly what was transpiring. And that experience definitely, I appreciate it a lot. It's made me who I am today. So yeah, enough about that. I think you guys get the idea here. Never ever, when it comes to your career, never go in blind, and always do your research and try to get as much exposure as possible. Plan your life ahead until you actually graduate. And they did that, and they graduated, and they feel like, okay, I'm making 200K now. I can afford sorry, $100,000 Porsche. So there you go. It's a lot of things like that happening, and it happens all across the board from a lot of other career fields as well. So let's go ahead and take a look here and see what's going on.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Hey, so I had a quick question. Might be a little complex, but my dad's been disabled my whole life, and he's had multiple heart attacks. My mom's been fighting with stage 3 cervical cancer. I want to know if it's honorable to go $1,000 into debt to be able to take my wife and kids down to go visit them and take them to Disneyland, and what my parents used to do with us when we were kids, so they can, I don't know when the next time we're all going to...
Take your kids to Disneyland? Your parents?
All of us.
Oh. Your parents' health will allow a Disneyland trip?
In a wheelchair, yeah.
Disneyland or Disney World in Orlando?
Disney World in Orlando.
Where's Mom and Dad?
He just got cleared to fly from California to Florida to visit my grandmother and my sister. She's had a baby too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just trying to...
Yeah. So what's your household income, sir?
I bring in anywhere from 80 to 120.
Why can you not find $1,000?
Dug myself a little hole before I had kids and bought more expensive cars than I should have, and I'm paying the price now.
So you don't have $1,000? You make $120,000 a year. You don't have $1,000?
I have $2,000 in savings and $2,000.
Then take $1,000 and go to Florida.
Okay.
Why did you call me and ask me to borrow money when you have $2,000 in your savings account?
No, I wasn't calling to borrow. I was calling just for some insight.
No, you were saying, is it honorable to borrow money because my parents are sick and dying so I can spend some time with them before they leave this earth, and I have to borrow money to do it, but you don't have to borrow money to do it.
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out if I should keep the $1,000 or $2,000 for...
So let me frame this for you, okay? If you borrow $1,000, you're not borrowing it for your sick parents. You're borrowing it to put it in savings.
Mm-hmm.
Because same thing.
Yeah.
If you take $1,000 out of savings and you borrow $1,000 for this trip and put it back in savings, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're really not borrowing for the parents' trip. You've worked this whole drama thing up in your head. You're really borrowing so you don't have to deplete your little savings account.
Mm-hmm.
See the difference?
Yeah.
Now, what this is, if I'm you, is my wake-up call. It's time to do some different stuff, Alex. Agreed?
Yeah.
You make too much money to be this freaking broke. You work too hard to be this freaking broke, dude.
Yeah.
What's the depression from? You sound like you're walking around a mud hole.
Just trying to figure out the way. I mean, I've read the books. I've read your books, and
you have the energy of a hound dog in the sun. What's the deal, man? I mean, are you depressed?
I think it's just hard watching your family suffer your whole life, and then you're trying to prevent that from happening in your house and with your kids, and trying to make everybody happy, and trying to be happy yourself too, and make all the right choices.
Sounds like you're exhausted.
Yeah.
I think you're emotionally exhausted.
So here's the thing. You make $120,000 a year. The plan you've been working is not working. Can we agree with that?
Oh, yeah.
You work too hard. You make too much money to be as broke as you are. So take $1,000 out of the account is the answer to your question, and go visit your mom and dad. Take them everybody to Disneyland. That's fine. But when you get home, man, it's time to sell some cars. It's time to cut up the credit cards. It's time to put everybody on a budget. And I don't care if the 14-year-old's happy. By definition, 14-year-olds are not happy anyway. And so I don't really care.
That's true.
That's the deal. So I don't know if you got a 14-year-old. I just made that up. But you said you're taking kids to Disney. Maybe it's the 8-year-old that's not happy. Well, the definition of happy when you're 8 is you have shelter and food and dry clothing that fits. That's it. After that, everything else is a spoiled freaking American. So, it's okay to have some nice things, but it's not okay to have some nice things when you can't afford them, and you can't afford them. You guys have got to change your ways, man. This is your wake-up call. When you make $120,000 a year and you have to call some guy on the radio that you've never even met to ask permission in your mind or to ask insight in your mind to use $1,000 of your $2,000 savings account, that's signaling. That's flares going off. Time for a change. Time to do something different, dude.
He's going to have to get comfortable disappointing some people. Or really, to be honest with you, he's got to be okay with what he perceives as disappointment when in all reality, it's just not there. That's what I hear. I hear a guy that's just overextended and he's just lost all reason because he's trying to emotionally feel good about himself, make sure everybody else feels good about him. And he gets to this point where he calls and says, is it okay to take $1,000 out on a credit card just to pay for this trip? Because I feel like I got to make my mom and dad happy because they made me happy. I heard that throughout the entire description, and I feel bad for him. I really do.
But it's not even an issue.
It really isn't.
So that's not
it's
the
all
issue.
in his head.
So guys, one of the things you have to do in this regard, is all of us, Dave included, me included, rationalize our purchase. And one of the rationalization methodologies that we use is that we are doing this for someone else. And when you unpack it, most of the time that's just not true.
Yep.
Example, okay? Little family has a brand new little baby. We spend $26,000 redoing the nursery. Promise you, little baby has no freaking idea. You did not do this for the baby. It does not change the baby's environment. It does not change their developmental skills. It does not increase their intelligence. All absolute hogwash. You did this for yourself. You did this so your friends could walk in and go, oh, it's so cute. And they're not talking about the baby. They're talking about the nursery. And so babies don't give a crap. All they want is a dry diaper and some food. That's all and a good hug. That's what a baby needs. That's it, man. It's simple. They don't need $26,000 worth of nursery equipment. Now, if you have $26,000 extra laying around and you want to spruce up your home, do something nice, do it. I can promise you Sharon Ramsey's doing that right now for Christmas for no apparent reason, but that she has the money. And that's okay. But that's different than I'm broke and I did this for my child. No, you didn't. Your child is 3 months old. They don't have a freaking clue. Hello, Christmas present person.
Yeah, well said, Dave Ramsey. That's very true. First and foremost, I feel for the guy and I wish his parents speedy recovery. But essentially, a lot of times we justify our expenses based off of circumstances, and sometimes we're definitely we can definitely go through it, and you could hear in his voice he was emotionally tired. Dave Ramsey even said depressed. A lot of times when you're in that emotional state, it's really easy to justify a purchase, and just watch out for that. Never let your emotions cloud your judgment when it comes to sound financial decisions. You don't want to be in a situation where you're making a lot of money, but you're still living paycheck to paycheck at the end of the day. And that's just not prosperous. And you should look at your money as your prized possession that you got to be cheap in a way, like a lot of people get made fun of for being cheap. Actually, it's good to be made fun of that, and don't let people discourage you. Don't listen to people about your finances because a lot of times they're broke themselves and they just don't want you to do better than them. All right, guys, for our next topic here, we're gonna discuss, the ever-growing trend of younger generation going non-traditional routes, for vocational school, trade school, stuff like that, in lieu of college. This video is pretty interesting here. This report, anyways, essentially what's happening is that kids are smartening up and they're saying, rather than being 50 grand in debt, I'd rather be making 50 grand. So essentially these schools are cheap, if not free in some cases, depending on, your government locale and things like that. And a lot of times you can learn this stuff in high school as well. So those of you who aren't qualified for the AP classes, maybe this is, if your high school offers this, this is probably something that you would want to delve into. But no, this is a very, very trendy topic here, because it's the future. We need more labor workers. So let's see if the economy will balance itself out. Let's go ahead and take a look at this, and let's go ahead and react.
This minus this.
For teens across the country weighing colleges and careers, a path on which many had long cooled is suddenly white hot once again as more of America's youngest workers take to the trades. At Wisconsin School of Technologies and Trades at Madison College, recent high school grads are filling classes and wait lists in construction, electric, plumbing, and welding. Nationwide, the number of 20 to 24-year-olds entering the trades is soaring, doubling.
So it seems like the stigma is gone with this new generation. Let's keep watching.
Among electricians and HVAC mechanics in the last decade.
Some have called Gen Z the tool belt generation. Does that ring true to you guys?
Yeah, I would say so. You almost fall in love with it.
18-year-old welding students Ethan Dahlhoff and Grayson Chambas had both been accepted to four-year schools, but changed course.
I just decided I want to work. I don't want to be in debt.
You don't want to be in debt.
Measure out an inch.
Instructors say that's a driving force, with more than half of American college students today graduating with debt, close to $29,000 on average.
Like the salary to debt ratio between me and people my age, I mean, we can have what they owe.
We can have what they owe.
Yeah.
Welding.
They can have what they owe. There you go.
Program director Tony Studi says this track is an easy sell.
You want to make $50,000? Can you afford to borrow $6,000 to come here for a year?
You just see their little teenage eyes light up.
Oh yeah, and the parents too.
Yeah, what do parents say?
Yeah, they're like, that's more than I make.
That reality drawing more women and people of color. Today, many on social media, where trades influencers showcase a hands-on career more alluring than classroom learning.
This is blowing up by it being on TikTok. This is some unseen stuff. Let's keep going.
To even top students.
Yeah, historically, there's been a bit of a stigma attached to jobs in the trades. Maybe kids that were getting into trouble or didn't have a good academic record. Now that's not necessarily the case. It's not looked down upon as a career path.
An old path made new again by a generation forging their own future. Maggie Vespa, NBC News.
Well, there you have it. I mean, oftentimes or growing up, our minds are molded to think a certain type of way, like, hey, white collar is where it's at, blue collar is, frowned down upon. Definitely you don't want to be a blue collar worker. Work yourself down, physically tire yourself and all that. And there is some truth to that. I mean, these jobs are somewhat dangerous here and there, it does take a lot of physical labor, but the pay is what's making the difference here. Before, the pay wasn't always there, but since these are high in demand jobs now, the pay has gone up significantly to where it's very comparable to a white collar job now. And it's definitely a route that people are being more aware of now, and which is great. And I'm glad, to see that, the parents are a little more open-minded to it now, rather than pushing them to a four-year school. That being said, I mean, by all means, this is not for everybody. I totally understand that, but look at the bigger picture here. Let's say you go 2 year, you do this program for 2 years, and you have a skill that you can like, especially if you don't have like a scholarship or anything like that, you can work your way through university, essentially, become an electrician, for example, or a plumber. And maybe you want to go to school for engineering afterwards. Maybe you want to go to, engineering school, 4 year degree afterwards, and stuff like that. That's also a career path that's very viable. And a lot of times I've seen situations where people, attend these schools either online or they go at night. That way they can work their main job that they just got this vocational certification from, as an electrician or a plumber, and be making a steady income while trying to better their career and further their career from there. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this, see where this trend is headed. I'm not sure it's 100% there yet. But with the talk of AI replacing many industries, I think this will be one of the last to be replaced, simply because robots are just not there yet. So let's take a look in a year or so and see what goes on there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Harariboy Podcast. Today I'll be covering a few topics here for this episode. Happy New Year's, everybody. I want you guys to win with money and your career goals and everything like that. This year in 2025, let's go ahead and make it amazing year, and hopefully we won't be the same as we were last year. So yeah, that being said, the topics we're going to cover today, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a couple tips on how to win with money this year in 2025 and take full advantage of 2025. We'll also go ahead and react to a couple of videos here as well. One of them is regarding what young people, or let's say Generation Z, maybe even Generation Alpha now, are looking at in terms of careers. Not everyone is trying to go to a 4 year school anymore, so we'll go ahead and delve into that and see what's going on. Also, some good news for real estate. For those of you on the sidelines, to buy a home. Yeah, it seems like this is going to be a good year, but more on that later. Yep. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this first topic here. How to win with money in 2025. All right. So the first thing here that I want to mention, this goes without saying, right? Well, it goes with saying, actually. You have to actually be mindful of your money. And what better way to be mindful of your money? Creating a monthly budget and sticking to it. Not only just creating it. A lot of people I see, they make these fancy looking budgets, Venn diagrams, and all that stuff, and just don't stick with it. I mean, what's the point of writing it on a piece of paper and you're doing X, Y, and Z? So there you go. That's the first step. The reason why this works is because a zero-based budget ensures every dollar you earn is allocated to specific purposes, and that in turn will help you control your spending and prioritize your financial goals this year. How to start? It's very simple. I know for a fact, and I'm not being sponsored by this, but Dave Ramsey does talk about it a lot. The Every Dollar app is a very good app. I personally use Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a very good app. Again, these are not sponsored suggestions here. I'm just throwing it out there. These tools that you can essentially use to win with money. And yeah, so essentially that's what it is. If you don't want to spend any money and you just want to go kind of the free route, the simple spreadsheet works just fine. When I was in college living with the roommates, believe it or not, we calculated our expense splits on a spreadsheet every month, and it worked perfectly fine for us. No fights whatsoever, pretty much. So yeah, it's a very good tool tracker still to this day. And yeah, so you're going to put your income, expenses, and savings into that budget, and you're going to basically adjust monthly based on the changes needed for that month. but hopefully you don't have to adjust too much and you can stick to what you have planned out. So that's number one. I mean, definitely plan and make a strict budget that you can live by and abide by. For those of you who are married, like me, it's probably a little bit easier for you because you can delegate that that task between each other. You don't have to pretty much feel overwhelmed. For those of you single out there, you do have some advantages as well, where you will hopefully not have as many expenses to look out for. So, that being said, let's go on to number two. Pay off debt using the debt snowball method. This is very key. I see a lot of people attacking the high interest rate ones first, or the high balance ones first, thinking that they're gaming the system and pretty much winning that way and paying off. And I'll tell you right now, mathematically it makes sense, but again, financial winning with finances is 80%, 20% head knowledge, 80% behavior, and the behaviors will return to knockout here. Because if it was just a mathematics problem, we wouldn't have the poverty levels that we have today, or financial struggles we have today. That being said, the debt snowball, what it is, it's really simple. I mean, just think of a little snowball, for those of you living in the north, that you pretty much start out with, and you just kind of ball up and roll up into eventually a big ball of snow that you can roll down and, hopefully not use it for nefarious purposes, but it's pretty cool to look at, right? It's the same thing with your debt. When you go ahead and do the debt snowball, you're starting with your smallest debt and working your way up to the largest debt. Now, again, this makes no mathematical sense, and it's not supposed to, because again, we are going after the behavior aspect here. So when you start with the smallest debt, you know what happens to you? Your behavior changes. You will feel the momentum. I mean, a lot of people go for dopamine releases in the wrong way. I will tell you right now, there's one easy, free way to get that dopamine release, and that is called winning. When you start winning with small things, and you start to build up this momentum inside of you, that essentially will just make it a reality for you. You'll just say like, "Oh my God, that was so easy. I want to do that again. I want to do that even bigger this time." And like, essentially, you'll start to build yourself up, and without you even knowing, you'll even work harder, and you'll even try to find other ways to pay off your debt faster and stuff like that. So this is why the debt snowball is very effective. How to start essentially is really simple. Again, list all your debts just as if you were making a monthly budget. Just do the same thing with your debts. List them all on a piece of paper, spreadsheet, whatever the case might be, from smallest to large. So your $500 debt, all the way to your $5,000 debt, let's say, and then just list them in that order. Then pay the minimum on every single one of them, except for the smallest one. This is key. And then you attack aggressively, starting from the smallest to large, until it's paid off. It's that simple. Repeat until you're pretty much debt free. So yeah, you're going to attack the smallest one aggressively. And then you are going to go ahead and repeat that step for each and every single debt that you have in that order. So yep, I hope that helps, and definitely see where you are this year with that. All right, that leads us to our last and final tip here, to win with money in 2025. Invest 15% of your income for retirement. Now, why did I list this? Why didn't I just say invest in general, right? So with this one, we're looking at tax advantage accounts like 401ks, IRAs, that help grow, your wealth through interest. So this is great because a lot of us don't think about retirement. We just think about the now. The reason why I listed it here rather than just investing in general, is essentially because if you can get to the point where 15% does not affect your income whatsoever. Like, if you feel comfortable enough to the point where you can invest 15% so seamlessly, then you can do whatever the heck you want with the rest of your money. Because what this does, it opens up a lot more doors of opportunities for you. That's exactly what it does. You're investing seamlessly 15%, and let's say Social Security is non-existent and you're 65 years old, just don't want to work no more. You just want to retire, sail off into the beach somewhere. You can do that because without even paying attention to it, you are able to comfortably invest 15% in your retirement. So that is key right there. Comfortably. I don't want you guys to invest 15% if it's uncomfortable for you. If you're still in debt, if you still are looking to buy a house, if you're still, have other goals in mind right now, invest slowly into retirement. So Dave Ramsey recommends to start off with around 5% or as much as you can do. Invest something, go up to 10%, and then go up to 15%. And do it in that order, and do it only after you've paid off all your debts and including your mortgage. And yeah, pretty much that's it. And you have 3 to 6 months of expenses. So yeah, how to start? After becoming debt free, again, save 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. Commit 15% of your household income to your retirement retirement savings, and focus on diversified mutual funds with a proven track record. So again, it doesn't have to just go into these retirement accounts that you don't have access to, right? If you feel more comfortable diversifying into mutual funds that you can have access to a little bit easier, you can do that. But don't put all your eggs into one basket when it comes to that. So yeah, I definitely recommend starting off with your 401k or IRA if you have one, and then essentially diversifying into mutual funds however you see fit. So yeah, by following these steps, hopefully you all will win with money in 2025. Let's go. So do you have a minute to connect? Let's Minect. That's right, guys. I'm officially on Minect now. You guys can go ahead and book me. I will be offering financial as well as career coaching based off of the Dave Ramsey principles, of course. So yeah, feel free to contact me, connect with me on Minect, and I look forward to speaking with each and every single one of you.